I found the receipt in her gym bag on a Tuesday morning, $347 at some boutique hotel downtown. We don't stay at hotels. We live here. My name is Carter Mills, and I'm the kind of guy who notices things. Petroleum engineer for 15 years, which means I spend my days looking at data that doesn't lie. Numbers tell stories if you're patient enough to read them. That receipt was the first number in an equation I didn't want to solve. Sophia was in the shower, singing something I didn't recognize. She'd been doing that lately, singing songs I'd never heard, using phrases that weren't hers, wearing perfume that cost more than our mortgage payment. 3 months ago, she'd discovered spiritual awakening through some life coach named Maximus Grey. Yeah, Maximus, like the gladiator. The guy had a website with his shirt off and a tagline about unlocking your divine masculine energy. For women, apparently, it was about breaking free from toxic limitations. I pocketed the receipt and walked into our bedroom. Through the bathroom door, I could hear her humming. Our apartment overlooked downtown Houston, floor-to-ceiling windows showing the sprawl of a city that never quite figured out if it wanted to be cosmopolitan or just rich. We'd bought this place 5 years ago, right after I made senior engineer. Sophia had insisted on the penthouse level. "We deserve this," she'd said. The shower shut off. I sat on the bed and waited, the receipt burning a hole in my pocket. When she emerged wrapped in a towel, her hair wet and dark against her shoulders, she smiled at me. That smile used to mean something. "Morning, babe," she said. "You're up early. Couldn't sleep." You should try that meditation app I told you about. Maximus says anxiety is just trapped energy. Maximus says. Everything was Maximus says lately. Maximus says we create our own limitations. Maximus says successful people invest in their spiritual growth. Maximus says 1,000 things that all seem to lead to her spending more time away from home and more money on personal development seminars. "Who'd you have lunch with yesterday?" I asked. She paused just for a second while pulling a dress from the closet. "Jennifer." "Why?" Jennifer was her college roommate who lived in Phoenix. I'd seen Jennifer's Instagram story yesterday. She was at her kid's soccer game in Arizona. "Just curious," I said. "You're being weird, Carter. Are you okay?" This was new too, this deflection technique. Anytime I questioned anything, I became the problem. I was being controlling, suspicious, negative. I was blocking her growth. "I'm fine," I said. "Just tired." She kissed my forehead like I was a child. "Maybe you should talk to someone. Maximus does one-on-one sessions. He's really helped me see things clearly." I bet he has. She left for her yoga intensive 20 minutes later. I watched her Mercedes disappear into traffic, then pulled up our phone records online. I'd been paying the bill for 12 years. I had every right to check. The numbers didn't lie. They never do. Sophia had called one number 247 times in the last 2 months, not Jennifer's number. The calls lasted anywhere from 12 minutes to 2 hours. Most of them happened when she told me she was at her spiritual workshops, meditation sessions, or girls' nights out. I reverse-searched the number. Maximus Grey, life coach and spiritual consultant. His business address was the same boutique hotel from the receipt. My hands were steady when I screenshotted everything. That's the thing about being an engineer. You learn to separate emotion from data. I'd confirm first, then decide what to do with the information. I called in sick to work, something I hadn't done in 3 years. Then I drove to the boutique hotel, a renovated warehouse in the arts district, with exposed brick and overpriced coffee in the lobby. The kind of place that thought it was more important than it actually was. The desk clerk was a kid with a man bun and a name tag that said River. "I'm supposed to meet my wife here," I said, smiling like an idiot. "Sophia Mills? She said she'd be in the Zen suite?" River looked uncomfortable. "Sir, I can't give out guest information." I pulled out my phone and showed him our wedding photo. "Look, man, she's planning a surprise for our anniversary. I'm supposed to pretend I don't know. Can you just tell me if she's here? I won't go up, I promise. I just want to leave flowers at the desk. He hesitated, then nodded. The Zen suite is occupied. But, sir, maybe you should just call her? Thanks, River. You've been helpful. I sat in my truck across the street for 4 hours. At 2:47 p.m., Sophia walked out of the hotel. She wasn't alone. Maximus Grey looked exactly like his website photo, except older. 50, maybe. Silver hair that looked professionally maintained, expensive casual clothes, the kind of yoga-toned build that screamed, "I have money and time." He had his hand on the small of her back, casual and possessive. She was laughing at something he'd said, her head tilted back in that way she used to laugh with me. They stood there for another 5 minutes, talking. Then he kissed her. Not a friendly peck, a kiss that told me everything I needed to know about how she spent her spiritual development time. She kissed him back. I took 17 photos. Then I sat there and watched her drive away, heading toward our home, where she'd probably shower again and tell me about her enlightening workshop experience. That night, she made salmon, her specialty. She'd changed into yoga pants and one of my old college t-shirts, looking relaxed and domestic. This was the Sophia I'd married, or at least the costume she wore when she played that part. "How was work?" she asked, setting plates on our dining table. "Boring. How was your day?" "So good. We did this exercise about releasing toxic energy. You basically visualize the negative influences in your life and imagine cutting the cords that bind you to them. It's incredibly freeing. Sounds intense. You should try it sometime. Maximus says most people stay stuck because they're afraid to cut those cords." I cut into my salmon. "Does Maximus say anything about being honest with the people in your life?" Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Just seems like a spiritual guru would value honesty." "Carter, you're doing it again, this negative energy. It's exactly what we worked on today." "Right, my negative energy." She put down her fork. "You know what? I don't need this. I'm going to bed. It's 7:30. I'm tired. Unlike some people, I actually did something meaningful with my day." She left her full plate on the table and disappeared into our bedroom. I heard the door lock. I finished my salmon alone, looking at the photos on my phone. 17 different angles of my wife kissing another man. The data was conclusive. Now I just had to decide what equation I was solving for. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat in my home office and made lists. That's what engineers do when faced with a problem. We break it down into manageable components, document everything, calculate the variables, design a solution. By sunrise, I had 3 single-spaced pages of notes. Sophia's lies going back 4 months. Every meditation retreat that was actually a hotel stay. Every late yoga class that matched phone calls to Maximus. Every credit card charge at restaurants we never went to together. The affair had been going on since February. It was now June. What surprised me wasn't the betrayal itself. I'd suspected something for weeks. But the scale of it. This wasn't a fling. This was a full parallel relationship with its own routines, inside jokes, and financial trail. She'd been living 2 complete lives, and I'd been the backdrop for only one of them. Sophia emerged from the bedroom at 8, dressed for another workshop. She poured coffee without looking at me. "I'm staying at Jennifer's tonight," she said. "I need space to process some things." "Jennifer in Phoenix?" She finally looked at me. "What?" "Your friend Jennifer lives in Phoenix, has 3 kids, married to that dentist." "That Jennifer?" Her face did something complicated. "I meant, I have a friend named Jennifer here, in Houston. You don't know her." "Convenient." "Carter, seriously, what is your problem lately?" I could have confronted her right then, thrown the photos across the kitchen island, demanded answers, made her face what she'd done. But that would have been emotional, reactive. and I was learning that emotions were a liability. "No problem," I said. "Have fun." She left confused, which was a small victory. I called my lawyer at 9, Patrick Hayes, a guy I'd worked with during a contract dispute 3 years ago. Sharp, expensive, and completely unsentimental about divorce. "Carter," he said when he picked up. "Been a while. What can I do for you?" "I need to understand Texas divorce law, specifically regarding adultery." He was quiet for a moment. "You want to come to the office?" "I'll be there in 30 minutes. Patrick's office was downtown, glass and steel and views of the highway. He poured me coffee from a French press and sat across from his desk, looking like he'd already heard this story 1,000 times. "Texas is a community property state," he said. "Marriage assets get split 50-50 unless there's a prenup. We didn't sign one. Then you're looking at an even division. House, cars, retirement accounts, everything acquired during the marriage." "Even if she cheated?" "Adultery is grounds for fault-based divorce, which can affect property division in some cases. But Texas courts don't typically award significantly more based on cheating alone. You'd need to prove the affair wasted community assets." I pulled out my phone and showed him the hotel receipts I'd found. 14 separate charges over 4 months, totaling nearly $6,000. All on our joint credit card. "That's a start," Patrick said. "You have proof of the affair itself?" I showed him the photos. He studied them, professional and detached. "When did you take these?" "Yesterday." "Don't delete anything. Don't confront her yet, and start documenting everything. Financial records, communication logs, evidence of where she's been spending marital assets. The more paper trail you have, the stronger your position." "I'm not interested in a strong position," I said. "I want her to understand what she's done." Patrick leaned back. "Carter, I've been doing this 20 years. Let me tell you how revenge divorces go. You spend a fortune in legal fees trying to punish someone who stopped caring what you think. You drag it out, make it nasty, and 2 years later you're broke and bitter and she's moved on anyway. The best revenge is a clean break and a good settlement. I don't want a clean break. Then what do you want?" I looked out his window at the Houston skyline. Somewhere out there, Sophia was probably with Maximus, laughing about her controlling husband who didn't understand her journey. "I want her to lose everything she thinks makes her special," I said. "Her reputation, her lifestyle, her sense of superiority. I want her to understand that actions have consequences." Patrick drummed his fingers on the desk. "That's not something I can help you with." "I'm not asking you to. I just need you to handle the legal aspects when the time comes. When you're ready to file, call me. Until then, my advice is simple. Don't do anything stupid." I shook his hand and left. The thing about working in petroleum engineering is you learn to think in systems. Everything connects. One valve affects another. Pressure builds in predictable ways. And if you want to control the outcome, you need to understand the entire network. Maximus Grey was a system, and I needed to understand how he operated. His website listed him as a transformational life architect, with 20 years of experience helping people break free from limiting beliefs. He charged $300 per hour for one-on-one sessions, $1,500 for weekend intensive retreats. His client testimonials read like religious conversions, people discovering their authentic selves and leaving behind toxic relationships that no longer served their growth. A pattern was emerging. Most of his clients were married women between 35 and 55, professional, affluent, feeling trapped in what looked like successful lives. He targeted that demographic specifically, hosting workshops with titles like Reclaiming Your Divine Feminine and Breaking Free from External Validation. I found 3 different women on social media who'd posted glowing reviews of Maximus's programs. All 3 were now divorced. 2 had restraining orders against their ex-husbands. This wasn't personal. Sophia was just another mark in a system designed to separate unhappy wives from their marriages and their money. Maximus had refined it to an art form. Understanding that should have made me feel better. It didn't. I drove past his address that afternoon, not the boutique hotel, his actual residence, listed on his LLC paperwork as his primary business location. It was a converted loft in the arts district, the kind of place that had probably been a slaughterhouse 100 years ago and was now worth $2 million. His car was parked outside. A Tesla Model S, white, custom plates that said, "Awaken." Of course. I sat across the street and watched. At 4:15, a woman arrived. Not Sophia. This one was older, expensive highlights and designer yoga pants. She stayed for exactly an hour, left, looking dazed and happy. Maximus was running a rotation. My phone buzzed. "Sophia, staying with Jennifer tonight. Don't wait up." I texted back, "Be safe." Then I opened a new document on my laptop and started writing down everything I knew about Maximus Grey. His patterns, his business model, his vulnerabilities. If you want to take down a system, you have to understand it completely. And I was a very patient man. The next 3 weeks, I became someone I didn't recognize. I'd wake up at 5, go through the motions of my normal life, work, conference calls, project reviews, then spend my evenings documenting my wife's affair with the kind of precision I usually reserved for pipeline specifications. I installed a GPS tracker on her car, legal in Texas as long as you co-own the vehicle. It showed me exactly where she went. Maximus's loft on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the boutique hotel on Friday afternoons, various restaurants I recognized from our credit card statements. I created a spreadsheet of her expenses. Sophia had spent $18,000 of our money in 4 months on her spiritual journey. Workshops, private sessions, weekend retreats, all of it funding her affair. I hired a private investigator, guy named Rick Donovan, former cop, the kind of person who didn't judge and didn't ask questions. He got me photos I couldn't take myself. Maximus and Sophia having lunch at a French bistro, holding hands across the table like teenagers. Maximus and Sophia entering his loft at midnight, leaving at dawn. Maximus and Sophia and 2 other women at one of his transformation retreats in Galveston, all of them looking cult member happy. "Your wife's not his only client," Rick told me when he delivered the 3rd batch of photos. "There's at least 4 other women in similar situations. Married, wealthy, all doing his programs." "Any of them sleeping with him?" 2 for sure, maybe 3. Hard to say with the others, but the pattern's consistent. He targets women in established marriages, sells them on finding themselves, gradually isolates them from their support systems, then positions himself as the enlightened alternative to their limiting spouses. So he's a con artist. Legally, he's a life coach having affairs with clients. Unethical, but not necessarily illegal. These women are paying him willingly. They're consenting adults. What about fraud? Rick shrugged. You'd have to prove he's deliberately misrepresenting his services. That's tough. He could argue he's providing exactly what he advertises, life coaching and spiritual guidance. What happens after is personal. I studied the photos. Sophia looked happy in them. Genuinely happy, in a way I hadn't seen in years. That hurt more than the betrayal itself. Keep watching him, I said. I want to know everything about his operation. At home, Sophia and I existed in parallel realities. She'd come home from her workshops, glowing and distant, talking about energy and alignment and finding her authentic self. I'd nod and ask simple questions, playing the concerned but slightly oblivious husband. You seem really passionate about this work, I said one night over takeout. I am. It's changing my life, Carter. I feel like I'm finally becoming who I was meant to be. That's great. What does that look like? She got that frustrated expression she wore when I didn't immediately understand her spiritual concepts. It means not living for other people's expectations, not staying in situations that limit my growth just because they're comfortable. Are you talking about us? I'm talking about me, my journey. Why does everything have to be about you? It doesn't. I'm just trying to understand. You can't understand unless you do the work yourself. Maximus says most people are too afraid to really examine their lives. Maximus says. Always, Maximus says. Maybe I should meet him, I suggested. If he's having this much impact on you, I'd like to know who he is. Her face closed off immediately. That's not how it works. These are private sessions. Even the group workshops? Especially those. The space needs to be safe for vulnerability. Outside energy disrupts that. Outside energy? You mean husbands? Carter, please, don't make this weird. But it was already weird. Everything about our marriage had become weird. We shared a home but lived separate lives. We were married in name only, and she didn't even have the courage to admit she wanted out. So I waited, documented, planned. Rick called me on a Wednesday. You need to see something. We met at a coffee shop near my office. He slid an envelope across the table. Inside were bank statements. Maximus Grey had 4 different accounts, all showing regular deposits from the same 15 women. Sophia's payments were among them, $3,500 per month on a recurring charge, billed as Life Transformation Program, Premium Tier. Where'd you get these? I asked. You don't want to know. Point is, look at the total monthly intake. I did the math. $47,000 every month, just from recurring payments. That didn't include his one-time workshop fees, private sessions, or retreat costs. He's making over $500,000 a year off this, I said. At least. And that's just what I can trace. Probably more in cash payments. This is a business. This is a very successful business. He's been running variations of it for 12 years, 3 different cities. Austin before Houston, Denver before Austin. Always the same model. Target unhappy wives, offer spiritual transformation, isolate them from their marriages, keep them paying monthly fees. Why hasn't anyone sued him? Some have tried. He settles quickly and requires NDAs. Besides, what are they suing for? He delivered life coaching services. The fact that those services included sleeping with clients is hard to prove and harder to prosecute. He's careful. I stared at the numbers. Maximus Grey had turned breaking up marriages into a 6-figure income stream. There's something else, Rick said. Your wife isn't just a client, she's helping him recruit. He showed me screenshots from a private Facebook group called Awakened Women Rising. Sophia was one of the moderators. She'd posted 14 times in the last month, sharing her transformation journey and inviting other women to Maximus's workshops. One post read, "If you're feeling trapped in a marriage that doesn't honor your true self, you owe it to yourself to explore this work. Maximus creates space for real growth. My only regret is not finding him sooner." The post had 37 likes and 12 comments from other women asking for details. She's recruiting for him, I said quietly. Looks that way. Probably gets a kickback. Most MLM models work like that. I closed the envelope. Keep digging. I want everything. His past cities, his previous clients, any lawsuits or complaints. Everything. Rick nodded. What are you planning to do with all this? I haven't decided yet. That was a lie. I knew exactly what I was going to do. Sophia asked for a separation on the 1st of July. We were having breakfast. Or rather, I was having breakfast. She was drinking some green smoothie thing that cost $12 from the juice bar downtown. I need to tell you something, she said, not meeting my eyes. I put down my coffee. Okay. I've been thinking a lot about us, about what I need to be happy, and I don't think this is working anymore. Our marriage, our situation, we've grown in different directions, Carter. You're so focused on work and stability and maintaining this life we built. And I need more. I need to explore who I am beyond these roles we've been playing. It was a speech. She'd practiced it, probably with Maximus, getting the phrasing just right. Enough pseudo-psychology to sound thoughtful, vague enough to avoid actually saying she was leaving me for her life coach. What are you suggesting? I asked. A trial separation. 6 months, maybe. Space for me to really figure out what I want. We'd still be married, just living separately. So you'd move out. Actually, I was thinking you could move out. This apartment represents a certain energy for me, and if I'm going to do deep transformation work, you want me to move out of the home we bought together so you can stay here and figure yourself out. She had the decency to look uncomfortable. When you put it like that, it sounds selfish. How would you put it? I'd say I'm asking my partner to support my growth, the way I've supported you all these years with your career. That almost made me laugh. Sophia had been a marketing consultant when we met, pulling in decent money. She'd quit 2 years into our marriage to find her passion, which apparently meant spending my salary on yoga certifications she never completed and business ideas that never launched. I'll need time to think about it, I said. Of course. I'm not trying to pressure you. I just want us to be honest about where we are. Honest. That was rich. Can I ask you something? I said. Sure. Are you seeing someone else? Her face did something complicated. This isn't about someone else. This is about me. That's not an answer. Carter, the fact that you'd even ask that shows how disconnected we are. You think the only reason I'd want space is if there was another man. That's exactly the kind of limited thinking I'm trying to move beyond. She was good. Deflecting blame, making me the problem, turning a simple question into evidence of my inadequacy. Maximus had trained her well. Right, I said. My limited thinking. She softened a bit, reaching across the table to touch my hand. Look, I know this is hard. Change is always hard. But I really believe this could be good for both of us. You've seemed unhappy too. I pulled my hand back. I'll think about it. That's all I'm asking. She left for a workshop 20 minutes later, kissing my cheek like we were still partners in this charade. I waited until her car was gone, then made a phone call. Patrick Hayes. It's Carter. She just asked for a separation. Did you agree to move out? No. I told her I'd think about it. Good. Don't agree to anything without consulting me first. If you move out, it can affect property division. Texas law favors whoever maintains residence. I'm not moving out. Smart. What's your next move? I'm going to talk to Maximus. Patrick was quiet. That's probably not a good idea. I'm not going to threaten him, just talk. Carter, I know what I'm doing. I hung up before he could talk me out of it. Maximus ran his Thursday afternoon masculine energy integration workshop at a yoga studio in Montrose. Men only, according to his website, designed to help them reclaim their authentic masculine power without toxic patterns. I signed up using a fake name and a burner email address. $200 for 3 hours of enlightenment. The studio was what you'd expect. Hardwood floors, meditation cushions, air that smelled like sandalwood and privilege. 8 other guys were there, ranging from mid-30s to late 50s, all wearing the uniform of wealthy men pretending to be spiritual. Expensive athleisure, $1,000 sneakers, watches that cost more than cars. Maximus entered at exactly 3 o'clock. In person, he had presence. That was the word for it. Not quite handsome, not quite intimidating, but magnetic in a way that made you pay attention. He moved like someone comfortable in their body, spoke in a voice that was measured and warm. Gentlemen, he said, welcome. I'm Maximus, and this is a safe space to explore what authentic masculinity means in a world that's confused about male power. For the next hour, he led us through breathing exercises, guided meditation, and discussion about honoring our inner warrior without aggression. It was surprisingly well designed, mixing legitimate psychology with just enough mysticism to feel profound without being completely ridiculous. I watched him work the room. He had a gift for making each person feel seen, asking questions that seemed spontaneous, but were clearly practiced, nodding at answers like they were revelatory. During a break, I approached him. Maximus, I said, extending my hand. This has been really valuable. He shook, his grip firm but not aggressive. I'm glad. What brought you here today? My wife suggested it, actually. She's been doing your transformation work for a few months. Says it changed her life. Interest flickered in his eyes. Oh? What's her name? Sophia Mills. His expression didn't change, but something in his energy shifted. Professional distance replacing warmth. Sophia's a remarkable woman, he said carefully, very committed to her growth. She is, though I'll admit, some of her changes have been difficult for our marriage. Growth can be disruptive to existing systems, he said. When one person evolves, the relationships around them have to adapt. Or end. Sometimes that's necessary. Not all relationships serve our highest good. I studied him. Up close, I could see the calculation behind the enlightened guru act, the slight hesitation before answering, weighing what to reveal, the practiced empathy that didn't quite reach his eyes. Do you ever work with couples? I asked. Help them navigate these changes together? My work is focused on individual transformation. Couples therapy requires different training. But you do advise clients on their relationships. I help them understand what they truly need. What they do with that understanding is their choice. And if what they need is to leave their marriage? His smile was patient, condescending. If someone's in a relationship that limits their growth, leaving might be the most loving thing they can do, for themselves and their partner. Even if they're married, made vows. Vows made from an unconscious state don't bind our evolved selves. I wanted to hit him. My hands actually clenched, imagining how good it would feel to wipe that enlightened expression off his face. But that would have been stupid and satisfying for about 30 seconds. Interesting perspective, I said instead. Thanks for your time. I left before the workshop ended, sitting in my truck and breathing through the rage. Maximus Grey wasn't just sleeping with my wife. He was selling her a philosophy that justified it, wrapping betrayal in transformation language, making her believe leaving our marriage was spiritual evolution rather than selfish destruction. And he'd done it to dozens of other women, systematically and profitably. My phone buzzed. Rick, found something. Call me. I called. You sitting down? He asked. Just tell me. Maximus Grey isn't his real name. He's actually Martin Goldstein, originally from New Jersey. Changed his name legally in 2015. Before the life coaching, he ran a pickup artist workshop company in Denver that got shut down after multiple harassment complaints. Before that, he sold timeshares in Fort Lauderdale. This guy's a professional manipulator. Can we use that? Maybe. I found 2 women in Austin who'll talk about their experiences with him. Both say he targeted them specifically because they were married and unhappy, got them to leave their husbands, drained their savings, then moved on to new clients. One of them tried to sue but couldn't prove fraud. Set up a meeting, I said. I want to hear their stories. Carter, what's your end game here? Even if you expose him, it doesn't fix your marriage. I don't want to fix my marriage. I want Sophia to understand who she destroyed it for. Rick was quiet. That's a different kind of revenge. Yeah, I said. It is. The 2 women from Austin met me at a diner off I-10, halfway between Houston and their city. Rick made the introduction, then left us alone. Jennifer Palmer was 41, a former pharmaceutical sales rep. Michelle Torres was 38, an attorney. Both looked tired in the way people do when they've been through something that aged them from the inside. Thanks for agreeing to talk, I said. Jennifer stirred her coffee. Rick said your wife's involved with Marty. Marty? That's his real name. Martin Goldstein. The Maximus thing is an act. How'd you meet him? Women's Empowerment Workshop, Michelle said. 3 years ago. My marriage was struggling, and a friend suggested I do some personal development work. Maximus, Marty, seemed like he had answers. Let me guess. He told you that you were in a limiting relationship. He told me I was magnificent, that my husband didn't appreciate my divine feminine energy, that I deserved a partner who honored my transformation. She laughed bitterly. I was so hungry to hear that, I believed it. Jennifer nodded. Same. He has this way of making you feel like you're special, like he sees the real you that everyone else misses. Looking back, it was textbook love bombing, but at the time it felt like awakening. Did you leave your husband? Within 6 months, Jennifer said. Maximus convinced me that staying was betraying myself, made it sound spiritual, noble even. I filed for divorce, moved into a condo near his studio, started working for him part-time recruiting other clients. He had you recruiting? That's the model. Get the transformed women to bring in new unhappy wives, MLM structure with spiritual packaging. I brought him at least 10 new clients before I figured out what was really happening. Michelle leaned forward. Here's what you need to understand. Marty targets specific women, married, successful, ages 35 to 55, showing signs of midlife reassessment. He finds them through free workshops, identifies the vulnerable ones, then offers private sessions where he gradually rewrites their reality. How does he rewrite reality? Gaslighting, basically. He tells you your marriage problems aren't about normal incompatibility, they're about your husband blocking your spiritual growth. He takes ordinary relationship issues and frames them as evidence of oppression. Every argument becomes proof you need to leave. Every compromise becomes evidence of your husband's controlling nature. Jennifer pulled out her phone and showed me screenshots of text messages, pages of them, Maximus, Marty, sending her inspirational quotes at odd hours, checking in during family events, gradually inserting himself into every aspect of her life. He's always available, she said. That's part of the hook. Your husband works late? Marty texts asking about your day. You have a fight? Marty's there with understanding and validation. He becomes the idealized partner, and your actual partner looks inadequate by comparison. When did you realize what was happening? Michelle finished her coffee before answering. When he started charging me for every text. Turned out his emotional support was billable at his coaching rate. $500 here, $1,000 there. By the time I woke up, I'd spent 70 grand on my transformation journey. I spent 90, Jennifer said, plus the cost of my divorce, plus losing custody of my kids because I moved out of the family home to be near his studio. I lost everything. I showed them the bank statements Rick had found. He's doing the same thing to at least 15 women right now. My wife's one of them. They studied the documents, and I watched anger replace the tired sadness in their faces. We tried to warn people, Michelle said, posted about our experiences online. He threatened to sue for defamation, got our posts taken down. His lawyer's very good. What would it take to stop him? Jennifer looked at me directly. Proof. Real, undeniable proof that he's deliberately manipulating vulnerable women for financial gain. But he's careful. Everything he does has plausible deniability. What if we got him on tape, admitting his methods? You'd need him to say something explicitly fraudulent. Just admitting he sleeps with clients won't work. He'd claim they were consensual affairs. You'd need proof he targets married women specifically, that the spiritual transformation thing is a deliberate manipulation tactic. Can you help me get that? Michelle and Jennifer exchanged a look. What do you have in mind? Michelle asked. We talked for another 2 hours. By the end, we had a plan. Risky, potentially illegal, definitely vindictive, but possible. Why are you doing this? Jennifer asked as we were leaving. Most guys just divorce and move on. Because he's still doing it, I said, to my wife and a dozen others, and because I want Sophia to understand what she chose. Revenge won't make you feel better, Michelle said. Trust me. Maybe not, but letting him keep destroying marriages won't make me feel better either. I drove back to Houston with a flash drive full of evidence, screenshots, bank records, testimonials from women Maximus had manipulated. Rick had done excellent work. At home, Sophia was cooking. Rare enough these days that I stopped in the doorway. "Hey," she said, too brightly. "I thought we could have dinner together, talk about things." Sure. She'd made pasta primavera, something she used to make in our early years. The apartment smelled like garlic and basil, almost normal. We sat at the dining table, and for a few minutes, it felt like we were playing house, pretending everything was fine. "I wanted to apologize," she said, finally, "for how I brought up the separation. It was abrupt. It's okay. I've been doing a lot of thinking. About us, about what I really want. And I think maybe we could try counseling first. Real counseling, not just my spiritual work." This was new. I studied her face, looking for the angle. "What changed your mind?" I asked. "Maximus, actually. He said I should make sure I'm not running from something that could be healed. That true transformation means facing difficult things, not avoiding them." Maximus told her to stay. Why? Then it hit me. The separation request had been too fast, too obvious. If I started asking questions, digging into her activities, I might discover the affair. Better to keep me placated, thinking we were working on things, while she continued her double life more carefully. "Counseling sounds good," I said. "I'd like that." Her relief was visible. "Really?" "Yeah. I want to understand what you need. What would make you happy?" She reached across the table and took my hand. "Thank you for being open to this. I know I haven't been fair to you lately." I squeezed her hand, thinking about Maximus's real name, his past cons, the women he'd destroyed, thinking about how Sophia had no idea who she was really dealing with. "We'll figure it out," I said. That night, we slept in the same bed for the first time in weeks. She curled against me, and I wrapped my arm around her, feeling her breathing slow into sleep. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, and started refining my plan. Over the next 2 weeks, I became the perfect husband. I came home early, made dinner, asked about her workshops with genuine interest, suggested we take a weekend trip to Galveston, just us, to reconnect. I was attentive, thoughtful. Everything she'd complained I wasn't. Sophia responded exactly as I expected. She relaxed, let her guard down, started spending more time at home, less time at mysterious workshops. But she didn't stop seeing Maximus. The GPS tracker showed Tuesday and Thursday visits to his loft, always during lunch hours when she claimed to be meeting clients for her dormant marketing business. I kept documenting, kept building my case. Rick found Maximus's ex-wife in New Jersey. Her name was Linda Goldstein, and she'd divorced him in 2014 after 8 years of marriage. He was always running some angle, she told me over the phone. The pickup artist thing, the life coaching. Before that, he sold supplements. Everything was about finding vulnerable people and extracting money from them. Did he cheat? Constantly, but he called it connecting with his clients energetically. Said monogamy was a limiting belief. She laughed harshly. I was 26 when we married, believed his crap about enlightenment and spiritual evolution. Took me 8 years to realize I'd married a narcissist with a guru complex. Would you testify to that? In court? For what? I'm not sure yet. Maybe nothing. But if I needed someone to speak about his pattern of behavior, send me the details. If it stops him from hurting more women, I'll do it. I added her statement to my growing file. Michelle and Jennifer had been busy too. They'd connected with 4 other women from Maximus's Austin operation, all with similar stories. Manipulation, financial exploitation, destroyed marriages. Together, they were willing to go public. We've been talking to a journalist, Michelle told me on a call. Local paper, but she's interested. Wants to do a feature on life coaching fraud. Don't publish yet, I said. I need more time. How much time? 2 weeks, maybe 3. Carter, the longer we wait, the more women he hurts. I know, but I need to do this right. What I didn't tell her was that I needed Sophia to be the one who exposed him. Not me, not journalists, not his ex-clients. Her. I needed her to see him for what he was, to understand she'd betrayed our marriage for a con artist who'd manipulated her like a mark. That required patience. Patrick called. "You've been quiet. Everything okay?" "Fine. Gathering information." "Carter, I hope you're not planning something stupid." "Define stupid." "Anything that could compromise your legal position or get you arrested." "I'm not going to break the law." "That's not exactly reassuring. Look, I know you're angry." "I'm not angry. I'm methodical." He sighed. "That's what worries me. Call me before you do anything." I promised I would, another lie to add to the collection. Sophia suggested we start counseling the following week. She'd found someone, a therapist named Dr. Rahman, who specialized in couples work. "I already made us an appointment," she said. Tuesday at 4. Tuesday at 4 was when she usually saw Maximus. "Sounds good," I said. She kissed me, and I kissed her back, both of us performing affection we didn't feel. The counseling session was predictable. Dr. Rahman, a kind woman in her 50s, asked about our history, our communication patterns, what we wanted from therapy. Sophia talked about feeling unappreciated, how I worked too much, how she needed more emotional connection. Her performance was flawless, the neglected wife trying to save her marriage. I played my part too. The clueless husband, well-meaning but oblivious, wanting to understand how to make her happy. "What I'm hearing," Dr. Rahman said, "is that you both want connection but aren't sure how to create it anymore. That's common after several years of marriage. The good news is you're both here, both willing to work on this." "Absolutely," Sophia said, taking my hand. We scheduled weekly sessions. Sophia seemed genuinely hopeful, like maybe this would work. I knew it wouldn't, but I played along. That night, I met with Rick at a bar downtown. "I've got something," he said, sliding his phone across the table. It was a video, grainy but clear enough. Maximus at a bar with one of his clients, a woman I recognized from his website testimonials. Married, according to her Facebook. They were kissing, his hand on her thigh. "When was this?" "Last night. I've been following him when he's not with your wife. He's got at least 3 active affairs going, maybe more. This guy's a machine." I watched the video again. "Can we prove he's charging her for sessions while sleeping with her?" "Maybe. I've got her credit card records. She's paying him $4,000 a month. Bank transfers show regular payments coded as coaching services." "That's not enough. We need him admitting what he does." Rick leaned back. "You want me to wire someone? Would that be legal?" Texas is a one-party consent state. As long as one person in the conversation knows about the recording, it's legal. But getting him to say something incriminating is tough. He's not stupid. "What if it wasn't just a conversation? What if it was a confrontation?" "What are you thinking?" I told him. He listened, expression getting more skeptical by the minute. "That's risky as hell," he said when I finished. "But possible?" "Possible, yeah. Stupid, but possible. If it goes wrong, it won't go wrong." "You sound very sure for someone who's never done anything like this before." "I'm an engineer. I plan for contingencies." Rick drummed his fingers on the table. "Give me a few days to set it up." "And Carter? If this goes sideways, I was never involved." "Understood." I went home to find Sophia on the couch, laptop open, working on something. She closed it quickly when I entered. "How was your day?" she asked. "Good. Productive. You?" "Same. Just catching up on some client work." The lie was so casual, so practiced. She'd gotten better at it over the months. I sat beside her. "I'm really glad we're doing counseling. I think it'll help." "Me too." She leaned against me. "I know things have been weird, but I want to fix this." "So do I." We sat there in comfortable silence, both lying to each other, both pretending everything was fine. My phone buzzed. Text from Rick. "Setup ready. Friday night." "You sure about this?" I typed back, "Positive." Sophia looked over. Everything okay? Just work stuff. Nothing important. 3 more days. 3 more days of playing the devoted husband while my wife played the reformed partner, and both of us prepared for very different outcomes. I was counting on her love of drama, her need to be the enlightened one, her absolute certainty that she was the hero of her own story. Maximus had given her a narrative where she was breaking free, evolving, becoming her authentic self. I was going to show her a different story entirely. Friday evening, I told Sophia I had a work dinner. Late night, probably wouldn't be home until 11. No problem, she said. I'll probably go to bed early anyway. Long week. She kissed me goodbye, and I knew exactly where she'd be an hour from now. The GPS tracker and her pattern history made it obvious. Friday nights were Maximus nights. I met Rick 3 blocks from Maximus's loft. He handed me a small device. Recording app on your phone, backed up to cloud storage. Whatever happens gets saved automatically. You'll have about 90 minutes of battery if you keep it recording. Good. Last chance to back out, he said. This is going to get messy. I'm counting on it. You're crazier than I thought. Maybe. But I'd spent 3 months watching my wife lie to me, watching Maximus manipulate vulnerable women for profit, watching a con artist destroy marriages and call it transformation. I wasn't crazy. I was done. I waited in my truck until 8:47 p.m. Right on schedule, Sophia's Mercedes pulled up to Maximus's building. She parked, checked her reflection in the mirror, and headed inside. I gave them 15 minutes. Then I walked to the entrance and pressed the buzzer for his loft. Yeah? Maximus's voice through the intercom. Flower delivery. I didn't order flowers. They're from Sophia Mills. Says it's a surprise. A pause. Then the door buzzed open. I took the stairs to the 3rd floor. The recording app was running in my pocket. When I reached his door, I could hear music inside. Something with sitars and ambient vocals, the soundtrack to spiritual seduction. I knocked. Maximus opened the door in linen pants and nothing else, clearly expecting a delivery person to hand him flowers and leave. When he saw me, his expression went through several interesting changes. Carter, he said, this is unexpected. I bet. Can I come in? This isn't really a good time. I pushed past him into the loft. Open floor plan, exposed brick, art on the walls that looked expensive and meaningless. Sophia was on the couch, wine glass in hand, wearing a dress I'd never seen before. She went pale. Carter? What are you doing here? I could ask you the same thing, but we both know the answer. She stood up, setting down the wine. This isn't what it looks like. Really? What does it look like, Sophia? Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you're having drinks with your life coach in his apartment on a Friday night while your husband thinks you're home sleeping. Maximus had recovered his composure. Carter, I understand you're upset, but this is inappropriate. Sophia's session time is private. Session time. I laughed. Is that what you're calling it? I'm calling it what it is. Sophia's doing deep transformation work, and your hostile energy. My hostile energy. Right. I turned to Sophia. How long? She looked like she might cry, or run, or both. Carter, please, let's talk about this at home. How long have you been sleeping with him? We're not. It's not like that. Then what's it like? Explain it to me. Use your transformation language. Tell me how this is spiritual evolution. Maximus stepped between us, his guru mask slipping to show something harder underneath. You need to leave, now. Or what? You'll enlighten me? Or I'll call the police. You're trespassing. I pulled out my phone and showed them the screen. Evidence of Sophia's affair. Photos, bank records, hotel receipts, everything I'd been collecting for 3 months. Call them, I said. I'm sure they'd be interested in your business model. Targeting married women, sleeping with clients while charging them for coaching services, manipulating vulnerable people for financial gain. That's fraud, Maximus. Or should I call you Martin? His face changed. Real fear now, not the performative concern of a spiritual guru. You've been investigating me? Thoroughly. I know about Austin, about Denver, about your ex-wife and your real name and your past cons. I know about the women you manipulated and the marriages you destroyed. And I know that everything you've sold my wife is a lie, designed to separate her from her money and her marriage. Sophia looked between us. What's he talking about? Maximus? He's lying, Maximus said, but his voice had lost its smooth certainty. I pulled up more evidence on my phone. Martin Goldstein, originally from New Jersey, ran a pickup artist scam in Denver that got shut down, changed his name and moved to Austin, started the life coaching thing. Same pattern there. Target unhappy wives, sell them transformation, sleep with them while draining their bank accounts, move on when they wise up or run out of money. That's defamation. It's documentation. I've got 6 women from Austin willing to testify. Your ex-wife's willing to testify. I've got bank records showing you're running an MLM scheme with spiritual branding. And I've got video of you with at least 3 married clients in compromising positions. Sophia sat down heavily. Is this true? Sophia, don't listen to him. He's trying to sabotage your growth. Is your real name Martin? She demanded. He didn't answer. Oh my God. Her voice was small. Oh my God. I can explain. You've been lying to me? This whole time? The name change was about reinvention, about leaving behind limiting identities. You're a con artist. She said it like she couldn't believe it. I left my husband for a con artist. You didn't leave me, I said quietly. Not officially. You just cheated on me while I paid for your enlightenment seminars. She started crying. Real tears, not the manipulative kind she'd perfected for our counseling sessions. These were tears of someone whose entire worldview had just collapsed. Maximus tried one more time. Sophia, listen to me. What we have is real. He's just trying to poison. How many? She asked. How many women are you sleeping with right now? That's not... How many? The work I do requires deep connection. Sometimes that connection becomes physical. It's about healing. How many, Martin? He looked at me, calculating. I could see him trying to figure out how much I actually knew, what I could prove. 4, I said. He's got 4 other active affairs with clients, all married, all paying him thousands per month for transformation coaching while he systematically destroys their marriages. Sophia stood up. I need to leave. Sophia, wait. Maximus reached for her. She jerked away. Don't touch me. Let me explain. Explain what? That you're a liar? That I spent $18,000 and destroyed my marriage for a con artist with a fake name? Your marriage was already broken. Because you broke it! Her voice cracked. You targeted me. You manipulated me. You made me think I was evolving when you were just using me. That's not true. Which part? The fake name? The other women? The fact that you're charging me $500 an hour to sleep with me? He had no answer for that. Sophia grabbed her purse and headed for the door. I followed. Behind us, I could hear Maximus saying something about authenticity and truth, but his voice had lost all its power. In the parking lot, Sophia stood by her car, shaking. You knew, she said. How long have you known? 3 months. And you just watched? I documented. There's a difference. You could have told me. Would you have believed me? Or would you have accused me of sabotaging your growth? She didn't answer because we both knew the truth. I need to go, she said. Where? I don't know. Not home. I can't look at you right now. Sophia, you let me keep lying. For 3 months. You knew what I was doing and you let me keep doing it. You were already doing it. I just stopped pretending I didn't notice. She got in her car and drove away. I stood there in the parking lot, recording app still running in my pocket, and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no vindication, no relief. just the cold clarity of watching a system collapse. My phone rang. Rick. "How'd it go?" he asked. "Exactly as planned. You sound thrilled." "I'll send you the recording. Make sure it's backed up." "Already got it. Cloud storage is amazing. You get everything?" "Everything." I drove home and sat in my truck outside our building for an hour, listening to the recording. Maximus admitting to the name change, his fumbling attempts to justify sleeping with multiple married clients, Sophia's breakdown. It was all there. Proof of everything. I forwarded the file to Michelle and Jennifer with a note. "Use this however you want." Then I went upstairs to our empty apartment and poured myself a drink. Sophia came home at 3 a.m. I was still awake, sitting in the dark living room. "We need to talk," she said. "Now you want to talk." "Carter, please." I turned on a lamp. She looked wrecked. Makeup smeared, eyes swollen, hair a mess. "I'm sorry," she said. "I know that's not enough, but I'm sorry. You were right about everything. About Maximus, about me, about all of it." "Okay. That's it? Just okay? What do you want me to say, Sophia? You're sorry? Great. Sorry doesn't fix anything. Sorry doesn't give me back 3 months of watching you lie to my face. Sorry doesn't undo you sleeping with a con artist while I paid for the privilege." "I know. You don't know. You have no idea what it's been like. Watching you fall for his bullshit. Listening to you talk about your transformation while you destroyed our marriage. Pretending to be the oblivious husband while you played enlightened seeker with a guy whose real name you didn't even know. Why didn't you just divorce me? Because I wanted you to see it. I wanted you to understand who you chose. And I wanted him exposed so he couldn't do this to anyone else." She sat down on the couch. "What happens now?" "Now? Now I file for divorce. You move out. We split everything 50-50 because Texas doesn't care about adultery. And you live with the fact that you destroyed a decent marriage for a con artist who was running the same scam on 3 other women. I don't want a divorce." I almost laughed. "You asked for a separation 2 weeks ago. I was confused. You thought you'd have your spiritual awakening and your stable marriage as a backup plan. But it doesn't work that way, Sophia. You made choices. Now you live with them. Don't I get a chance to fix this?" "Fix what? The lying, the cheating, the $18,000 you spent on transformation seminars with a guy who's probably already moved on to his next mark? What exactly is fixable here?" She started crying again, but I felt nothing. That was the strangest part. No anger, no satisfaction, no pain. Just empty. "I'll sleep in the guest room," she said finally. "We can figure out the details tomorrow." "Sure." She walked away, and I sat there in the dark, wondering if revenge was supposed to feel this hollow. The story broke 3 days later. Michelle and Jennifer had given the recording to their journalist contact, who'd been investigating life coaching fraud. The article ran in the Austin Chronicle first, then got picked up by larger outlets. Life Coach exposed how Martin Goldstein built a 6-figure business destroying marriages. The piece was thorough. 6 women interviewed, bank records analyzed, Maximus's, Martin's history documented. My involvement was mentioned only as an anonymous source who provided evidence of fraud. By Wednesday, it was everywhere. Local news, social media, Reddit threads. Women started coming forward with similar stories, not just from Austin and Houston, but from Denver and Fort Lauderdale. The pattern was clear and damning. Maximus's website went dark. His social media accounts disappeared. His phone went to voicemail. Sophia read the article 3 times, sitting at our kitchen counter with her laptop, her face getting paler with each reading. "There are so many," she whispered. "So many women. He's been doing this for over a decade. I thought I was special. I thought what we had was real." "That's how cons work, Sophia. Everyone thinks they're special." She closed the laptop. "I need to figure out what to do." "About what?" "About us. About my life. About everything. There is no us. I already talked to Patrick. He's filing papers tomorrow. Carter, wait. For what? 3 more months of you figuring yourself out? Another year of wondering if you're really sorry or just sorry you got caught? I made a mistake. You made 100 mistakes. Every lie, every hotel visit, every time you came home and pretended everything was fine, those were all choices, Sophia. Conscious choices. I know I screwed up. But people make mistakes. People grow. Isn't that what you wanted? For me to understand? I wanted you to understand who Maximus really was. Mission accomplished. But understanding doesn't mean I forgive you. It doesn't mean I want to stay married to someone who could do what you did. She was quiet for a long time. Then, will you at least tell me why? Why you didn't just leave when you found out? I thought about it. The real answer was complicated. Anger and hurt and a methodical need to document everything, to expose Maximus, to make sure Sophia saw him clearly before I ended things. Because leaving immediately would have been emotional, I said, and I wanted to be strategic. That's it? Strategy? What did you expect? Some grand confession about still loving you? I did love you, Sophia. Past tense. The person I loved wouldn't have done this. She flinched. I'm still that person. No, you're not. That person died somewhere between February and now. Maybe it was the first time you lied about where you were going. Maybe it was the first time you slept with him. I don't know when exactly, but she's gone. And I'm not interested in whoever replaced her. I left her in the kitchen and went to pack. I'd already found a furnished apartment near my office, month-to-month lease. I'd move my essential things today, come back for the rest later. Sophia watched me load boxes into my truck. This is really it? She asked. This is really it? What about counseling? What about trying? We tried. You tried to have an affair. I tried to document it. Both of us succeeded. You're being cruel. I'm being honest. There's a difference. I finished loading and stood by my truck, looking up at the apartment we'd shared for 5 years. It already felt like someone else's life. The mortgage is paid through next month, I said. After that, you're on your own. My lawyer will be in touch about dividing assets. Carter. Goodbye, Sophia. I drove away without looking back. The furnished apartment was bland and clean, the kind of place that existed only as a transition. I unpacked my basics, set up my laptop, and tried to feel something about the end of my marriage. Nothing came. Rick called that evening. You see the news? Hard to miss it. You did this, you know. Without that recording, we had nothing concrete. Now he's done. Business destroyed, reputation ruined, women coming forward. The police are even looking into fraud charges. Good. You sound thrilled. I'm tired, Rick. I'm just tired. What about your wife? Soon-to-be ex-wife. She's someone else's problem now. Cold. Accurate. I hung up and sat in my empty apartment, thinking about how revenge was supposed to work. You hurt the person who hurt you. You destroy what they built. You make them pay. I'd done all of that. Maximus's life was imploding. Sophia understood exactly what she'd thrown away and who she'd thrown it away for. Everything had gone according to plan. So why did I feel nothing? Patrick called the next morning. Papers are filed. She'll be served today. We're asking for a fault-based divorce on grounds of adultery, which should help with the property division. How long until it's final? In Texas? Minimum 60 days if she doesn't contest. Probably longer if she fights it. She won't fight. She knows she doesn't have a case. People do stupid things in divorces, Carter. Don't assume rationality. But I did assume it. Sophia was many things, but she wasn't stupid. She'd made calculated choices throughout our marriage. Now she'd calculate her way through our divorce. I was right. She signed the papers without contest, agreed to a 60-40 split in my favor as compensation for the affair, and was out of the apartment within 3 weeks. We communicated only through lawyers. Clean, efficient, emotionless. The marriage that had taken 12 years to build came apart in less than 2 months. The divorce was finalized on a Tuesday in October. I went to the courthouse alone, signed the final documents, and walked out legally single. I called Rick from the parking lot. "It's done," I said. "How do you feel?" "I honestly don't know." "That's normal. Give it time." But time didn't help. Weeks passed, then months. Work continued. Life continued. I dated a few people, nothing serious. I moved into a better apartment. I got promoted at work. Everything was fine. Everything was empty. I ran into Jennifer Palmer at a coffee shop in December. She was with her daughter, a kid maybe 12 years old. "Carter," she said, surprised. "How are you?" "Good. You?" "Getting there. The article helped. Knowing other women went through the same thing. It made it easier." "I'm glad." Her daughter wandered off to look at pastries. "You did a good thing," Jennifer said quietly. "Exposing him. He would have kept destroying lives if you hadn't." "Maybe." "Definitely. Michelle's practicing law again. I'm back in sales. The other women are rebuilding. You gave us that." "I was just angry." "Angry can be useful if it's directed right." She paused. "How's your wife?" "Ex-wife. I don't know. We don't talk." "Do you hate her?" I thought about it. "No. I don't feel anything about her at all." Jennifer looked sad. "That's worse than hate, isn't it?" "Yeah, it is." She left, and I sat with my coffee, thinking about Sophia, wondering where she was, what she was doing, if she'd found another life coach or another husband or just another version of the same lies. I didn't actually care. That was the problem. I'd gotten everything I wanted. Maximus was finished, his business destroyed, facing criminal charges, his reputation obliterated. Sophia understood the price of her choices. Our divorce was finalized on terms favorable to me. I'd won. But winning felt like nothing. That night, I pulled out the file of evidence I'd collected. 3 months of surveillance, documentation, proof. I'd been so focused on exposing Maximus, on making Sophia see clearly, on strategic revenge. I'd turned myself into something cold and calculating, an engineer approaching emotional devastation like it was just another problem to solve. And now I was alone in an apartment that wasn't home, going through motions that weren't life, feeling nothing where something used to be. Maximus had destroyed marriages for profit. I'd destroyed mine for revenge. Different motives, same result. I thought about calling Sophia, apologizing for the way I'd handled things, for the coldness, for documenting her betrayal like it was a research project instead of a destroyed relationship. But what would I say? Sorry I caught you? Sorry I exposed the con artist you fell for? Sorry I wanted you to understand reality? None of it would change anything. I deleted the evidence file instead. All of it. Photos, recordings, spreadsheets, everything. It had served its purpose. Keeping it was just keeping the wound open. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "This is Sophia. I know we're not supposed to talk, but I wanted you to know I'm sorry, not for getting caught, for all of it. You deserved better. I hope you find it." I stared at the message for a long time. Then I typed, "I hope you figure out who you actually are, without Maximus or me or anyone else telling you." She didn't respond. Neither did I expect her to. I put my phone down and looked around my apartment. Clean, organized, efficient, everything in its place, everything under control, exactly what I'd wanted, exactly nothing at all.